by the pledge of the flag. Dear Lord, I pray that you guide us always, satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting. Strengthen us as we make tough decisions. I pray that we will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. I pray that we will be fruitful. Father, please guide us so that this meeting can be productive. Let us be effective and decisive. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Little housekeeping. Johnny, those people on Zoom. Laura, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, anybody that's following us on Zoom this morning, and you want to speak at the public comment period at the beginning of our agenda, if you'll please unmute yourself and identify yourself so that we can then record you and give you an opportunity to speak. Going once. Going twice. No takers. All right, Susan, do we have anybody that signed up?
No, sir.
All right.
Mr. President, if I could, before you get started,
Okay.
as you gentlemen are aware, we do have a ceremony at 11 o'clock, so we may need to recess the meeting a few minutes before 11 and then reconvene, just for the people on Zoom out there are aware of that.
All right. So noted. All right. First item of business is public comment, and we have none. Is that correct?
None that I'm aware of.
All right. Consent agenda, what's the pleasure?
Move to approve.
All right, motion to approve consent agenda. All in favor say aye. Payroll change notices,
We have none.
exonerations, corrective tickets, joint property applications.
You do have a number that these require all three commissioners' signature.
I got one.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Betsy, these are just
I'm good.
exonerations. Item 5, consolidation of land, segregation of land.
We have nothing for item 5. We have nothing for item 6.
Item 6. Item 7, consideration and resolution authorizing the filing of a fiscal year 21-22 county records management and preservation grant program application, adopting all understanding and assurances continued in sales application, said application probably, appointed by the president of the county commission to administer the program, committing funds to the project, committing to provide installation and support services. Mr. Parker, what do we have?
This is a application, excuse me, for the $10,000 is the maximum grant award. It does require a 10% cash match. We've applied for these for a number of years and have been successful, and it's just a continuation of those grant applications.
All right, so this is, we're just applying for it, so we have not received the funds, correct?
Correct.
All right, what's the pleasure of the commission? We have a motion to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Item 8, review, discuss, and consider interface of financial information from the budget and accounting reports, payroll, FICA, taxes, insurance, reports and filings, current, and all payments current. Mr. Park.
That's a follow-up from an agenda item that was on the agenda previously, a matter that was on the agenda previously. And, the commissioner requested that that be on there and, for discussion and follow-up purposes.
All right. Commissioners. Kathy. David.
Well, I guess I'm a little surprised that if we've all been looking at the numbers that have been coming in over the last 3 months. In our financial reports, we have no idea how to compare the payroll to our budget. So our first quarter is incomplete as far as financial information goes. And I don't know what it's gonna take to bring us up to date, but we're getting ready to enter our 4th month without that payroll information. And it's come to my attention that we have issues with getting our payments into the West Virginia State Retirement. Again, that's not reflected in our financial information, so as commissioners, we do not have a full picture of the financial info required for each department. And I would like to know from the clerk when we'll be able to have this information available.
I believe Mr. Parker has been in conversation with Erica as far as these updates. I feel you're calling me out, again. It's fine, just fine. Let me finish, please.
Okay.
Let me finish. You all are well aware that we have a new payroll system. And it has taken some time to get these reports completed from Paycom, from Avenue. And, as far as the general ledger, we have everything we don't have July. It is not done because at that time, people could pick where they wanted to be paid from. So all the others are up to date. We are frantically working on the insurance. September will be reconciled. And we are waiting on the retirement board right now. On their end, there is an issue to put in the next month. So there's the update.
So we still don't have a date when payroll will be interfaced with the accounting program.
I can't give you a date for certain. The girls are working, like I said, frantically to get this done. We had a financial statement to do in the middle of everything. So Erica had to divert to that. Tony fell and had an accident. She's been off.
I want you to understand, this isn't personal, this is, the clerk has control of the accounting for the commission and for.
I understand my job completely. I've been here for a good while.
This is just getting to a point where, as I said.
Well, again, like I said, Mr. Parker has been in contact with Erica. I don't know why he couldn't give you an update. It's always, we've done that in the past. And that's all I'm gonna say.
It's not his job to fix the problem.
It's my job to fix the problem.
I'm asking you when the problem is going to get fixed.
As soon as we can get it fixed.
Well.
And if that's not good enough for you, then I'm sorry.
I don't know how my other commissioners feel about not having the financial information.
You can get the financial information. Reports can be printed.
How do I get it into this so I know where we're at budget-wise?
Well, we have it for August, September, and October.
Is this because we have those two systems with the
Well, it's because we're switching payroll systems, and
Yeah.
they have to be able to interface with,
It's taken 4 months to interface, which I'm not, if we're gonna continue down this road with Paycom, then I don't see why we're gonna continue down if we
Well-
can't get the praise for the cost.
That's my question, David, is that, we knew when this system come, we thought it was a catch-all, but apparently, there's been a lot of bumps in the road up to this point of,
I think we've been, we're on top of the mountain. We
Well-
haven't paid on certain things on time, and we're into our 4th month on financials as far as payroll goes.
well, you go backwards now and it'll be worse.
is that the, software systems issues, really, or?
No, the issue, as I understand it in my discussion with Erica, in July, for whatever reason, the program was set up where, if you signed on to the app, you could, indicate what, department you want paid from, 401, 402, 403, whatever it is. Now, with the time clock, I don't believe you had that option, because I never saw that option using the time clock. And, we've, need to clean up or review the general ledger entries to see if people, what they input, so we're charging the correct department. And Erica's in the process of trying to do that now, as I understand it. August and September, I printed those reports this morning for Commissioner Hinkle. August and September are in there on the expenditure side. On the revenue side, we don't have any receipts posted yet into the revenue side, for the first, 3 months. So we can't do a revenue comparison, on our budgeting and accounting payroll, but as it relates to the payroll system, now it's just working through the July issue. Other than that, I think as far as Paycom, it's currently working satisfactory, it's doing a good job, excellent job, I think, right now. It's just working through that July issue that we have.
Okay, so we actually have two independent systems,
We have
trying to marriage up together
yes,
to be accountable for whatever the employee X.
yeah, we have a budgeting accounting system, and it's bringing that, marrying that, interfacing that payroll information from Paycom, which we've done for August and September. Now it's just reviewing the July, general ledger entries to make sure they're charged to the correct department.
Right. So the bottom line is, we're still within the budget that we have set, just not knowing
We don't know that.
where the allocations
You
is.
can find it out.
We don't know that? Is that what you're saying?
It's not readily available on the budgeting and accounting payroll. For example, the report that I did this morning, you should be able to do a quick review through September. You know, we should be 24-point-something% on our payroll expenditures,
Right.
based on the year-to-date numbers. The current report, because July is not in there, shows 16-some%. So there's no comparison in that regard to look down through there in the fashion that's the normal report.
All right.
But once the July information is reviewed and to make sure it's correct and then it's posted and to the budgeting and accounting, then we can do a thorough review to make sure everything's, correct at that point.
Well, let me see if I understand what you said, Mr. Parker, is when we started this, we allowed the employees to determine what account they were being charged to?
That's the way I understand it, yes. That's the way Paycom set it up initially.
And we did that through what? An app?
If you signed on to the computer or the app, evidently that was you had to tell it where to charge to. You did not have that issue, to my knowledge, through the time clock, through the biometric clock on the finger scan. But, you know, it would appear from my review of the records, most departments are utilizing the app or computer, not using the biometric, scan necessarily.
So have we taken that option away on the app?
We have not yet.
I beg your pardon.
Excuse me?
I'm pretty sure it's taken off. It was taken off as soon as we found out about it.
Oh, yes, no, I mean, if that was yes, the department, yes, that's correct, yes.
So an individual can't choose?
No, if that was the question, that's correct. Yes, that was corrected immediately once we found out, yes.
And
I apologize for
how
that,
many
that's correct.
I didn't mean to interfere.
No, I'm glad you did.
how many employees are using the app?
I'd have to do a research and pull the numbers. I just looked yesterday briefly, but I don't remember the numbers.
And why would they use the app opposed to physically coming in and putting their finger in the system?
Depends on where they start work from, if they're working from home, or, if they're not reporting to a station or a location that would necessarily have a time clock. Those are few and far between, because we have time clocks at all of our outlying locations, to my knowledge.
What controls are on the app as far as the use goes?
I'd have to do some research. I'm not sure what
Anybody that's got their password can go in and sign them in on their app, correct?
there's I'd have to look, there's some security questions that you have to answer. But if people shared that information, that could be done if people shared that information. Now, they could go in and change their taxes and, if someone does that, it's not very good for the employee, because, for example, if Johnny gave me all that information, I could go in and make Johnny married and single, married and zero, single and zero, change all that type of, change his address, change his direct deposit.
But they can come into the courthouse, sign into the app without going to the clock.
Yes.
All right. Do we have a plan to resolve the issue?
Erica's working on the July information. I don't know how long that will take her, but she's working on the July
So we're
information.
doing a backup. So currently, we're all right.
No, we don't have July information.
I understand, but I mean, for the month of, let's say, September,
August and September are in the reports,
in the reports.
yes.
So we'd be going through October at this point, no glitches. So all we're doing is those months that we had issues, trying to get the correct information there.
Yeah, it's my understanding, Erica and the other staff members over there, Mary, Courtney, and others, have reviewed the August and September information for correctness, and to my knowledge, that is correct and accurate. And once it was determined, like Ms. Thomas says, once it was determined in July that option was out there for the employees, it was shut down immediately. For some reason, Paycom, I don't know where that decision was made. That was never discussed on any of the phone calls I was on.
I would just say it was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can get the system worked out, and it'll be like, as we proceed, that's the reason why we got it. David, do you have any other?
I would hope that they would have it done, and I think that they anticipate, I hope within the month.
Yeah.
David, I'm not holding this up, believe me. We're not holding it up.
No, I understand that, I'm just,
I want it to work just as bad as you all do. Worse than you do, probably.
no, I don't know about that, but.
Oh, I do.
It's just that we're into a system, we're into it 4 months, and,
Well, there's a lot that goes into it.
well, I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm
And there's a lot of, you gotta work with retirement board, you gotta work with dental vision, you gotta work with PEIA. It's not just Paycom.
So the problem we've identified is the app.
The problem was in July that the app allowed the employees to select, for example, you know, I'm a 401 Department of County Commission.
Pick four.
I could have picked 402 and charged it to Ms. Thomas's budget. You know, not everybody knows their department number.
Absolutely.
Most people probably do not.
So that's been taken away.
That's been taken away,
On
correct?
the app as well
Yeah.
as the finger
Yeah,
or thumb.
the biometric clock never had that option, that I remember.
All right, so that resolved that issue.
Correct. It's just a matter of going back and verifying July information to make sure it's
All
accurate.
right.
Susan, if you could get me how many people are using the app and how many are using the time clock, just for my own.
I mean, I know my office is, most of my office is using the app, I'll tell you that.
Is that readily available?
I mean, I'm sure there's a report somewhere
Yeah.
that shows you how they're.
I would like to know.
Yeah, that would, be interesting to see how many's out there.
I mean, and your supervisor needs to be paying attention to that too. They can look at time cards to see when people are clocking in and clocking out.
I've instructed all commission departments, if at all possible, use the biometric clock.
Well, you could even be more definitive than that. You could direct them to use it.
Yeah, but, if Johnny's working from home, he wouldn't necessarily have that option.
Yeah, but you should have the list of everybody in your,
Right.
under your area of responsibility who is working from home.
Correct. Yes, I understand that. Yeah, commission employees have been directed to
Okay,
use the clock.
all right.
Biometric clock. There's, in my opinion, less chance for error. Now, we have some people, for whatever reason, we have a couple in our office that they have trouble reading, and we've set them up numerous times, different fingers. Don't know why, but we have a couple that have difficulty reading their thumbprint or fingerprint.
All right. You all right?
Yeah.
Kathy, anything? All right, let's hope we get the system up and working the way, we had projected.
People are getting their paychecks.
All right, moving on. Item 9, review and discuss engagement of legal services from Steptoe and Johnson related to TIF project adjacent to the North Central West Virginia Airport facility. Mr. Parker or Mr. Hinkle?
As I understand, the current, as you gentlemen are aware, we have a TIF project currently at our airport facility that all falls within the city of Bridgeport. There is some parcels that need, can, should be added to the TIF, but in Mr. Amon's opinion and discussion with him this week, it would be more advantageous to establish a new TIF district, and we had this discussion with our assessor also. He was in the room when we had this discussion, and he would concur with that, to establish a new TIF project for these parcels and or other parcels that are outside the city of Bridgeport. And to do that, the first step is engagement of legal services.
All right, so that would, there'd be actually 2 different TIF operations out in and around the airport.
Correct.
Those within the municipal, city of Bridgeport and those
Outside.
outside.
Correct.
So this would be for those outside.
Correct.
Actually, it'll be, bringing, Thrasher property under the airport TIF, and the Rutino farm will stand as its own TIF.
Now, when you talk about, the Thrasher property, which is outside now, are you talking about annexing that into the city of Bridgeport?
No,
No, just putting the, okay, so for any revenues that come in, will it go to the city of Bridgeport from there?
no, the TIF, will send revenues over for future expansion at the airport.
Yeah, anything above the baseline goes to the TIF account, no matter whether it's inside, outside,
Okay,
both.
okay, so that's the revenue that pays off the bonds.
Yeah, right now, there's no bonds issued.
Right.
Bonds, if it just,
To pay as you go.
Okay,
as this develops, we then just would take that money
Yeah.
through and send it over to help pay for
All right.
projects with the airport.
But this is the first step, since it is not adjusting a current TIF.
So it's a brand new TIF.
Yeah, it would be an engagement of legal services is
Yeah.
the first step.
Reno Farm would be a brand new.
Yeah.
That'll be-
allow us to develop it by selling bonds.
Okay. Patsy, questions?
So the thrasher's just gonna fall under the existing TIF? and-
Right, we can't get it anywhere else,
And why are we doing the Racino property?
so that we can, when we go to develop it, we'll be able to sell bonds.
Yeah. That property right now is probably under farm, I would assume.
Yeah.
It would be the lowest rate of taxes. And then as we develop that and it becomes businesses, those businesses would be paying whatever class 4, class 5, whatever they have it. And the difference in that would go into the TIF account to pay off, the bonds.
Correct.
Now, this motion here does not give final approval to establishment of a TIF.
I
It just
understand.
starts the process.
Starts the process.
Right.
Who would the money want to be going to if we didn't do the TIF project at the Racino property?
There wouldn't be any.
It would just continue as, go to the taxing
Any
entities.
improvements would just go straight back in instead of paying off bonds or the development cost.
But if we don't have a TIF there, who would the money go to for the development?
It would come to the normal taxing entities,
Taxes in it.
the county and the Board of Education and a little bit to the state.
Don't we need the revenue too?
Yes, it's a matter of whether if there's development there, how you fund that development, or if you fund that development. This does not authorize a TIF at this point. This just authorizes the county to engage Step 2 and Johnson for legal services. If you want to establish a TIF sometime in the future, it allows for that option.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't want to, how much is it gonna cost us later if we decide not to? How much is this process gonna cost the taxpayers now going Step 2 and Johnson?
Normally, anything for legal services is funded out of the TIF once it's established. That's been the past practice. Now, if there's,
But still, the money would have went to.
oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, so the point I'm making is
But
if we
if,
decide not to do the TIF, we've wasted the money. Because they're gonna get paid, will they?
it's,
Well, Step 2 and Johnson not gonna give us a bone. It doesn't work like that.
depends on how it's set up. Yeah, there's times that if the project does not go forward, then the entities or the legal professionals involved or other professionals involved do not get funded.
A comparison would be, I would think, Chris Lane's project up there, off of Route 50. So that's been established in that a TIF now with, Chris Lane up there, hasn't it? So there was legal there also, even before, I'm assuming, is it official that is a TIF?
No, it's in the application
So
process,
it's in the
right?
application, and that would be the same way with this property?
If you move forward with a TIF, yes.
Yeah.
Now, it's a matter of if there's economic development there. Of course, the TIF can only be established, as you gentlemen are aware, what they call the but-for test. If the TIF was not established, the development wouldn't happen. So that's what as the commission would look at.
Right.
If but for the TIF, if it was not established, this development would not happen. If that cannot be answered, then even if it is TIF, that can't be funded for that development project. We can't fund a TIF just to make it easier to develop. It's the but-for test. But for the TIF being there, these public infrastructure improvements would not happen but for the TIF.
And Patsy, if the TIF is established at the baseline, and somebody goes in and spends $15 million on a new building, that tax base automatically goes back into the TIF account, which is controlled by the county.
Right.
So that money is sitting, that tax increase still coming into the county. It's whether or not we don't have to sell bonds, but
to make sure that we have the ability to either make the development happen through the issue of bonds, or there's federal funding. It's just, easier, I mean, we've already done it on everything else around the airport for that reason. So we can sell bonds, we don't have to sell bonds, but we have that option. The other option to having a TIF, we've used it for one company to help them expand. So having that ability to offer to businesses that come in is kind of a handy thing as far as the development tool.
Yeah.
Because with Pratt Whitney, we were able to defer the personal property tax back over for the purchase of millions of dollars worth of new equipment for them to expand their business.
But the point I made, David, was simply that money's gonna go right back into itself, and no money's ever good. So all that development at the airport, really no money ever filters into the county. It continues to funnel into the project.
Well, I guess if you look at the jobs and the money that the businesses bring to the area is not filtering back into the economy, yes, but if you look at that, somebody comes and employs 50 or 60 new people, I guess you have to determine which it is, and at some point when the TIF's gone, the county benefits everything that's happened, no more than a developer has. It's just a development tool that, like I say, we fine-tuned it for Pratt Whitney. Haven't had to use it elsewise, but it's something that sits there that gives us what we can try to, when we're having to compete with other states, it just gives us one more tool in the toolbox. If somebody wanted to come to the Routino property right now, to get the funds, we might have to sell some bonds to do some of the development, or they would come in and we would give them the benefit of personal property tax to try to get them so that that's something that another state doesn't have, that we can, say we don't have it either. So it's just strictly a development tool.
It just keeps your options open at this point.
All right, Patsy? All right, what's the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, item 10, I just got an alert. Laura, thanks for the alert. Free testing from 9 o'clock to noon at Jackson Square. So those of you that's listening,
That's today and Friday, also Friday.
and also Friday. All right, moving on. Item 10 is review, discuss, consider purchase of property adjacent to, by the Harrison County Development Authority, former Elliott Thrasher property for development purposes may require executive session. Mr. Parker, is that, we're just putting that into the, Development Authority's name because of?
This is the Development Authority is currently the owner of the former Thrasher property,
All right.
Elliott Thrasher property. They are the owner of record. This is an additional parcel located adjacent to that to be considered for purchase.
All right, and how many, this is for the total development of that, partial of that property up there, in which we have people knocking our doors down right now wanting to be considered for that property. Is that correct?
That's correct. As I understand it, this is a few acres of property, 5, 6, somewhere in that neighborhood, that allows for access, easier access, better access, improved access to the Elliott Thrasher, former Elliott Thrasher property for development.
Is this going to be coming from Route 50?
Yes,
So instead of a 12% grade, we may be down to 4 or 5%, or else we're going to have a lot of curves going around there. Hard for big equipment, tractor and trailers to get to that.
yes.
So we're gonna buy the rest of the property, is what you're saying, Ron?
Yeah,
Do you know how much it's gonna cost?
I have no idea. Do you have any idea, David?
No, we're in the process of negotiation.
So it'd be
So this is to buy it or negotiate?
So, to negotiate, it's not to actually make the purchase.
Okay.
And potentially two other pieces of property up there that were very small, that would round things out.
Yeah. Don't we have a master plan or something up there, David, with the,
It's in flux, we're gonna finish it up Thursday afternoon,
good, good.
So this
I
is,
think-
based on the people that have.
I mean, it's just a plan, so would we, be able to, record that on our website so that it really would be out there so that people would understand what the heck we're doing up there?
Probably,
I mean, we're just showing a concept.
yeah, we can show the concept, I just can't reveal any names.
No, just concept.
when will you be able to let the county know what's going on, David?
The public, probably not till sometime in November.
Okay, so I can make the motion then that we are gonna make a motion to move forward with negotiations.
Yeah,
No, okay, negotiations
All right.
only.
that's your
Okay.
motion?
Yeah.
All right, any
No.
further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 11, review, discuss, and consider purchase of property at Benham Airport Authority and the Joe Garrett family, et al., in the Harrison County Development with lease back to the county commission. Let me just say this as we're talking about the airport. We do understand that what we're doing is making the future of jobs, hopefully good paying jobs, that will continue to, be in the airport area of, aerospace, and other companies that support the aerospace. The airport, has an economic impact of over $1 billion annually. It is a major, major economic tool that we have in north central West Virginia. So let's understand that this commission, and along with the Airport Authority and the County Commission of, Marion County, have worked tirelessly to try to do the best that we can for the citizens and the taxpayers, in north central West Virginia. The benefit of all of the doings that we are in the process of looking at and considering, the end result is jobs. So with that, let's, go on to, the Garrett. Mr. Parker, do you wanna?
Well, I'd like the first one I'd like to consider is the purchase of the property from the Benham Airport. All the, hoops have been crossed, we've got FAA release, just came in yesterday, everything is finalized. The only thing that we still have to finalize is the financing from a bank, so that we don't deplete our funds.
Yeah, we checked on that this morning, we expect that, just, they're doing the appraisal, that last step right now, we do not expect, any issues with that according to the information we got this morning.
Now,
If the commission so desires, you could approve that pending financial, appraisal and financial completion.
So we're purchasing property from the airport.
Correct.
They have got it released from FAA,
FAA's released it
and we're talking about outside the fence, right?
outside.
Outside the fence. So if you're looking at 279 from, I think the intent is for us to acquire, and supplement additional properties that we already own from 131 to really Route 50.
Yeah.
Outside the fence for future development and jobs. Is that what we're looking at?
And 18 acres on the south side tied into the 12 acres we already have on that
Right.
side, so that'll give us a total of 30-some acres on the south side up by Richford Development, and the 54, 55 acres over on the north side of 279.
So Ron, how many acres is the total?
73?
Yeah, approximately 73 acres.
And how much are we paying per acre, Ron?
I don't know, how much, what are we looking at? What's the airport, they give us a break?
$41,000 an acre.
And are we voting on this today?
Yes, sir.
But, I mean, you have two commissioners that don't know how much we're paying per acre, or how many acres there are, and can we go into a meeting and vote on it?
We've discussed, if you go back through the minutes several times, how much per acre, the purchase price of $3 million, and how many acres. It's all been voted on, to
What's
look
been
at the
voted
amount
on?
of money and everything.
So you're telling me Ron voted on something we didn't know how much it was, or how much it was gonna be? Ron and I have done it?
The $3 million has been discussed for
I'm not even sure what
$5 or 6 months.
what $3 million we're talking about. I just heard 41 times what may be 73. I mean, is it 73 for sure, or is it 74? Because that's another $41,000. I mean,
$3 million.
It's $3 million for the acreage. $3 million is the purchase price, and that's how you come up with just over the $41,095 an acre. It's,
so we're paying $3 million per acre.
no, it's $3 million for the parcels, for 73 acres. $3 million, 73 acres, at 41,000, which is $41,000 an acre.
I mean, I'm on board with you guys, you know I am with the airport, but I don't think we're going to, I mean, we have commissioners voting on something that we got the numbers today. Shouldn't that have been on shouldn't I know that?
Well, we've been discussing this for a number of months, with, and getting that's where I've been working with MVB Bank and getting the appraisals finalized, having the 2017 appraisal that we had, and they wanted to update that. So that's the reason we're doing the appraisal work, which, we've talked about and approved in the past, and purchasing from the Benham Airport Authority outside the fence. And the reason for that is, as long as it's in the airport authority's name, the FAA is involved at what you do with that property.
Correct.
And FAA, they normally do not care about economic development. They care about flight operations, which is their function. That's their job. But we've got them, the airport authority has got them to release, they okay the release of that property from the airport authority because it's not needed for flight operations or flights, associated matters with flights. So now it can be tied into an economic development industrial park.
Hey, Willie, I appreciate that you giving me the update on the FAA. Can you tell me the interest rate?
That's what's being finalized right now, the $3 million. That's what's
How can I
being,
vote on it if I don't know what the interest rate is? How can I vote on it if I don't know the number of years? I mean, are we getting the cart before the horse, David?
5 years.
How do you know that?
that's what we've told them, is 5 to 6 years, to look at a 5 or 6 year
Who
payback.
told you to do that, Willie?
The commission.
I don't know.
That's if we authorized to go get it surveyed.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about a lot of money, David, and we're finding out about it at 11 or 10:45 a.m. on the day we vote.
Originally, we talked about just giving the airport $3 million for nothing in return.
Right,
I do remember that.
yeah.
Okay, so, and then we determined that the airport agreed to sell the property so that the people of Harrison County got something besides just the $3 million spent to and the airport agreed to sell the land.
I'm following everything you guys say, but, I mean, guys, we're just voting on spending tens of thousands of dollars without knowing the details, and I gotta be honest with you, would anybody buy a house and do that?
I don't know the exact interest rate, but we're in the
Can we find out
3.5%.
what the interest rate and the payment's gonna be before we vote to buy it?
They have to finalize the appraisal is what they're doing now, this week. It's a matter of,
Let me ask you this, Willie, how do we know we can afford it if we don't know the interest rate of the payment, or the years, or what if they say you can't, I mean, you see what I'm saying?
The motion is based upon obtaining financing.
Obtaining financing. Okay, so does that leave out the buying of the property if the obtaining of the property doesn't fit the budget?
It can. So how you wanna adjust the motion? Then we just have to determine if we're still gonna flex the 3 million to the airport, and how we're gonna finance that.
David, I'm on board with everything you're doing, but I think it's important that we know if our checkbook can afford the amount of dollars that we're spending on a piece of property.
Is this gonna be competitive bidding?
Willie, have you negotiated with anybody but MVB Bank?
no, I've worked with MVB Bank because they're the ones that have our accounts and the ones that we deal with for all of our other accounts.
What if somebody would have beat it by half a point with this much money? Any point, it's incredible.
So we're going on what the intent is to go on a payment plan,
Yes,
just as if we would buy a vehicle or a house payment or whatever.
You're exactly right, Commissioner, but do you, when you sign that paper, know what your payment's going to be and for how many years?
Yeah,
Okay. So why are we buying,
Yeah.
using taxpayers' money
yeah.
and buying in the dark? I'm for the project. Everybody knows it. I've been talking about the airport since before I became commissioner. I talked to this young lady here before I became commissioner when she interviewed me. I'm on board. But who in the world buys a car without knowing how much their payment's gonna be and see if it's gonna cut into their food supply?
It's gonna run you $600,000 a year for 6 years.
yeah, that's what I was calculating, that's what I remember,
So
yeah.
you do know the interest rate, David?
I used a rate where most things are falling at 4%.
Probably less than that.
It should be less than 4%.
Well, Willie's already doing what he says he's going to do with the bank. Can't we wait for this agenda item until he comes back to us with? I mean, we don't have to approve you to do it, Willie. You just told me you've been doing it forever because we've already told you to do it.
On arranging for the financing, yes,
So why is this on the budget today until you arranged it?
because the request from the commission was to move forward with the project, and, I didn't know if we'd have that final answer today. I've been dealing with them for weeks now, and also the airport authority's been dealing with the FAA, and evidently that answer came through yesterday.
Can we at least, gentlemen, if a taxpayer asks me on the way down the steps, or the news asks me, before I leave the building, to say, well, Commissioner, how much money will this actually be? Me be able to say it's gonna be $600,000 as opposed to, I think, I just used your taxpayer dollars, $600,000, but, oh, by the way, it might be a little bit more or a little bit less. I mean, it goes back to buying the car, like you said, Ron. You wouldn't go home and say to your significant other, hey, I think our car payment's gonna be $600 a month, but it might be $650. And if it is $650, we'll just get cable.
Could we proceed with the intent to purchase the property,
Based
as
on.
you would do any other, piece of property there?
Let-
And then, once the numbers are to come back with the final,
And then, Ron,
monthly costs and interest rates
and
and
then
all
we
that.
can have Willie tell us where the money's gonna come from.
I'm
what we're
assuming they're
taking
gonna hold the
out.
property as, collateral,
Yes,
and I can share with you, on the other side of 131, how much that property's going for.
So could you do that, Willie? Let us know, okay, here's what we have.
Yes.
And here, by the way, Commissioner, in your $22 million budget, this is where the money's gonna come from, and this is what we're also gonna take it out of if we have to cut something else from within to make the payment. I mean, can we know what we're doing before we do it?
I can bring back how the commission would like to, I can bring back the finalized financing plan, and take care of that. Or, if you wanna call a special meeting, do it next week, depends on, what we look at, for finishing the appraisal.
Guess what? These two will be meeting in a special meeting.
I know you're gonna be gone for a while, that's right, I
I
forgot
may
that.
be out of circulation, right.
I'm not arguing with the effort that's went into this and the opportunity that's there. I just want to know what I'm voting on, so I can look people in the face and say, this is why we did this, and at the cost. And I also want to know how it's going to affect the rest of the budget when $600,000 a year now, or whatever it is coming out of it now. It's not a part of the budget, and it's going to have to become part of the budget, and what does it affect? It's that simple. It's just balancing the checkbook.
All right, Mr. Parker, help us form a, motion.
The matter, yes, because, the intent, as I understand it from the commission, was to provide funding for the Benham Airport Authority instead of just an outright, here's X number of dollars. Working with the Benham Airport Authority, identifying land that could be used for development, 73 plus or minus acres, and which we've arrived at, and, the attorneys have finalized those parcel plots and language. And so if the commission would so desire the intent is to provide that funding, the intent is to purchase the property with final approval on the financing arrangements once those are finalized.
Great, and everything you said is true.
All right, you okay with that?
I am. What we just want, before we make the purchase,
All right.
let's see what it's gonna cost us.
All right, David? I think that gives us what we're, we don't want a developer coming in there, next thing you know, you got a housing project.
I just looked that it took about 15 years, 4.5. $288,000 a year.
Okay, so we went from 5 to 15.
Oh, I just because of the worry, all I need, and I'm not speaking as a commissioner, I'm speaking as the president of the airport authority. If the county is not gonna commit to $3 million before December 31st, then the airport authority will have to make different plans.
David, we're committed to it.
I'm not hearing the county commit, and again, this is the airport president, that we're committed to $3 million to the airport.
Well, let me talk to you then, as the commissioner's committed to 68,000 people. I wanna know what it's gonna cost, and I wanna be able to tell them what's gonna cost. And that we're gonna let the NDB tell us what's cost, because that's exactly what the check's gonna be for. We're not gonna do a hypothetical in commission meeting.
Let's just keep in mind, any action that we take and anything we do,
So then let's agree to
It
purchase the
means
property based
jobs.
upon the commission approving financing.
okay?
Sure.
All right, that was the motion.
Before December 1st.
You just said the 31st.
I said the airport has to know by then. You gotta go through the closing
Well,
costs.
I give us all of November.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
Can you get it for us by?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Well, let's get it at the earliest convenience, on or before.
Yeah,
All right, Susan, do we need to reread that for you, or are you all right?
We'll be all right.
She's all right. So we got a motion by
I'll let you correct it.
David, and any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All right, item 12,
Mr. President, we probably need to take a recess
I moved to go into recess.
for our activity.
All right,
across the
for
street.
those on Zoom, please join us across the street where the GSA building, is, hopefully will be,
What time you wanna come back, Ron? I've gotta go.
what's that?
I've gotta go. We have a ribbon cutting today. What time? You wanna come back at 2?
Oh, no, let's come back right after, that shouldn't take long over there. We should be back out of here in 15 minutes.
I mean, who scheduled a 11 o'clock
I,
ceremony on a commission day?
I did. I thought we would be done by 11.
We got 120 hours in a week. Well, why did we schedule that? When was the last time we adjourned at 11? I mean, go ahead.
Well, we're not adjourning, we're just recessing.
Go ahead.
All right, motion to recess. All in favor, say aye. We stand in recess for no more than
Could be a half hour at the most.
half an hour at the most. We only got 3. For those of you, that's still on Zoom, appreciate, you still, being with us. Laura, can you hear us? Let's make sure. Gary Hamrick or Gina.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, good. Okay. All right, we're back in session. Yeah, we're gonna move 13 up. We do have, someone here to, that's from Game Time. So item 13 is, review, discuss, consider lease and or purchase and or use of property located adjacent to the County Commission Whitedale, property for possible location of a park, playground, may require executive session program and operations oversight responsibility to the Recreation and Parks Department. Mr. Parker set the stage for us, and I'm assuming all these recreators and Patsy sits on the advisory board, so we'll find out what the advisory board knows.
This is, Mr. Book and Mr. Comer, along with the representative, are here as it relates to the, equipment or playground equipment we're looking at, or the layout, and, then in addition, possibly to where the commission, could locate it, or, would desire to locate it along those lines. But the first part of this presentation is just, looking at, the layout of, and the equipment we're looking at. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Book and his compadres.
All right, Michael?
We were, through our meetings with Jessica Stell, we were tasked with exploring the possibility of future projects. So one of the areas we looked at was at Whitedale, because it's a nice center of the county situation, so we looked at it. And then we'll turn it back over this way, because when we started looking at equipment, we liked the area. Doug made the contacts.
Yeah, we got in contact with, Mitch Reno here, who's with Cunningham Recreation, and, Mitch has done a lot of projects for us. Pretty much everything you see over at our recreation complex has been done by his company. The service is first class. He's taken some time out of his schedule to come and present to you guys a little bit about the advantages of possibly having a playground set up at the CCC property, and it's again some of the options of where we can have something along those lines. With that, I guess I'll just pass on to Mitch, and kind of give you a rundown of what you're looking at with the slides.
Yeah, thank you. We printed off, basically, I had a PowerPoint made up, but when Doug contacted me originally, and I reached out to him about a grant that we offer every year, and there's a timeline on it, but he had kind of tasked me with providing stuff in the $50,000 range. So these are the ideas that I sent him. If you look at the first few, to kind of show you, so the one that says Holston View would be the third page. That shows you basically what a complete turnkey playground can look like. That's including your surface border, your safety surfacing, your borders, the install. And that just shows you an idea of the equipment and the number of ADA accessories. You can see on that one, there would be 3. On the next page, the Siebert Hills one is kind of the same concept. It just gives you an idea for around the amount of money that he had said that potentially would be available to him. That's sort of the idea of the equipment you can get with the surface, the border, that sort of thing. Same thing with the Pumpkin Creek, that's another playground in that price point. So just give you an idea of what's available at our normal pricing that we do with the discounting. But then if you, go to the page where it says Harrison County Parks and Rec Playground, you can see a much larger structure, and that's using the grant pricing that we offer currently, and there's a little breakdown there that shows that the turnkey price on this playground normally be over $70,000. So with that grant price, we can actually get it down. That's including your surface, your safety surfacing, your border, your install, all the site work, us seeding and strawing the site, all that stuff. And the next few pages, I just kind of show, and this doesn't have to be this playground, but this is one that we just found that fits really well with the space. The next page shows another view of it. And what I really tried to do is call out some of the more ADA accessible ground level items, which is really the focus, is trying to address as many users as we can, all age groups, all abilities, whether they have sensory, cognitive, social, children on the autism spectrum. So things like the nature discovery table you'll see there is a great ADA accessible ground level piece. It's designed for mobility devices to pull up to it, but it's also designed for social interactive. It's a quiet place for, again, children on the autism spectrum need a place to decompress. It's under a deck, so it's a shaded area, and it has the tactile, you see the molded features on it, so kids could even do rubbings, like educational aspect as well it brings to it. Very natural feel. Those musical instruments you see on the 6th page, I guess. So those are drums that are scattered throughout the playground. They're underneath the equipment, so again, they're in a nice shaded area. They're ADA accessible ground level pieces. They're angled in a way when they're attached to the equipment, so that children from mobility devices can access them directly. But they're also designed to be social, so the kids play together on the musical instruments. Develops cognitive. It's also physical, and it's auditory, and it's a sensory play. I also wanted to call out things like the Tri-Net medium climber that would be attached to the playground. That's an advanced kind of a net structure, so that provides. So what we try to do with the playground, provide something for children of all ages and abilities. So for the older kids, that gives them something they can do as well, a cool net climbing feature that's kind of freestanding but still attached to the structure. And that's really designed for a physical play, and again, for kids to climb up and around, over, all through. And then some of the other climbers there to show you, advanced climbers, again, for the older children and children of all ages. So we're not just trying to address ADA inclusive play only, we want to make sure all the kids, no matter their age group, from 2 to 12 or even older, have something to do. But then the last page there shows some of the more, the ADA accessible items, like the DC Jam Box. It makes 5 different sounds that play all different music, and it's a very good ADA accessible piece that promotes, auditory, touch-sensitive buttons for even children with limited mobility. Then there's some other just ADA accessible pieces like the echo chamber, the mirror activity, and just things that, again, promote sensory-based play, but provide other things for children of all abilities to do. And if you all have any questions, that's what I'm here for.
What we include on the back 2 pages too are the 2 quotes, to do the 19 for the, to have all the work installed, and then the actual, 33, 684 for the,
Hold it over here.
the quote for the property, or for the equipment itself.
And so on the 1 page, I have kind of broken down, normally that equipment, again, turnkey price would be well over $70,000, so we're right at that $50,000 price point using the current pricing structure. And then also included on there, you'll see is sanitization of the entire equipment and an inspection, which is normally something would be an additional around $1,000, $500 for the inspection and $500 for the sanitization. That's thrown in as well under this grant that we're doing. So just some additional things to help with the pricing and everything as well.
So the 50,000 is the install and the equipment?
Yes, sir. That's the turnkey price. I think it was 53,047 or coming off the top of my head, but that's the complete turnkey price. Yes, including even seeding and strawing the site when we're done, hauling off spoils, anything like that.
Has other area parks and rec programs taken advantage of it?
Yeah. So currently I'm working with, Bridgeport, with Joe Shuttleworth over there. He approached me initially, he said he had $70,000 for one playground, at City Park. So I met with him at the site, and then, basically the area he had wasn't a large area, so it's gonna be fairly difficult to fit $70,000 worth of equipment. It's a good problem to have, but, so I noticed, or he showed me they had a smaller playground in the same park. So basically, by using the grant, he was actually able to get not only the one playground that he wanted to replace, but he was actually able to get a 2 to 5 playground, a 2 to 5-year-old playground for the younger kids, and even put a shade structure up with 2 benches underneath it. So it's a 10 by 10 shade, with 2 benches. So instead of the one playground, basically they got 2 playgrounds, a shade structure, and 2 benches, for the same price he already had allocated for the one playground.
Have you guys looked at whether we can put it on the existing property, what you're talking about?
Existing property is gonna be really difficult with buildings and stuff that just completely fill up that space.
Yeah, there's a flat area between the barn and the building itself. It'd be ideal to have it right there. However, at the range that we're looking at, as soon as you go down the wheelchair ramp, I mean, your playground's gonna hit you right there. So as far as the feature from the parking lot looking over, it's gonna look pretty busy. However, across the road in the back, there's a flat area, which I think is owned by is a piece of property that's owned by somebody else. There's this person, I think last name might be Starkey. I think it used to be Doc Pickett's property at one time. But that would be an ideal place to have it there. We measure that off, and there would be plenty of space for it. I mean, you're looking at about a 55 by 80 space, which could make that. And that might even be able to get visual from off the road as well. Because I think with the wooded area between the 2 buildings, you may have some visibility problems even from,
What if we broke it down into 2 sections of the combined property?
to be able to.
Would smaller units? or-
Oh, yes, yeah, that would be fine. We can, look at that. The only issue we're having is the deadline for this pricing, the special pricing's available, is the end of this month, so it's coming up very quickly. So the pricing you saw on there where I said that normally this structure would run around $70,000, that's with your normal, U.S. communities, which is our pre-bid government purchasing agreement that you all are a member of. That's with that discount already applied. So this is basically like taking another $17,000 off of the already discounted price.
So, my last question is, if we purchase the equipment, we're not getting a discount on the installs, just on the equipment, so we can work the install
At a later date?
at a later date.
Yes, sir.
Purchase the equipment.
Yes, with that grant pricing, that's why we split it up that way, where the equipment itself is on one quote with the grant pricing, and then the install is on a separate quote with as a separate, complete, phase.
Mr. Parker, I know Parks and Rec is funded from, levy.
Yes,
Is this something that they've got funds already over from the levy?
yes, there would be funding available for this project in the current, vital service levy for this fiscal year, because of other programs that have not taken place.
Right.
About 170 ahead for the year right now, right?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, there's excess, not excess, there's available funding.
And Patsy, what about from the, Friends of the Park, would they be interested in helping in this or any of this,
Well, I did what Ron said, and I spoke to, I'm actually interested. Nobody at the park board on the committee I sit on, after last week when I asked them knew about this. Where's Jessica?
And while she's coming, Patsy, if you don't mind, is she on?
I don't know if she's back in the building yet.
Some questions to you guys. Michael, you guys know that besides being a cop, I am also an advocate for recreation.
Yes, sir.
How did you come up to determine that there's a need in that particular area just for playground equipment? Now, some of the labeling that recreation has is we're only dinosaur people, and we never come out of the shop. Well, we now have a regional park, if you want to look at it, at Summit Park, that really needs any kind of development or gets a lot of use from athletics, I reckon. But we got property there
Right.
that we own that cost us zero, okay? I'm just kind of curious as how you came up with identifying that Quiet Dell should be a target. And let me also, as you guys are looking at properties, because the other question I had, how you gonna pay for it? Because I think Parks and Recreation every year had to be supplemented either through the excess levy funds or through additional general funds that was put in. Is that correct, Mr. Parker?
We have in the past, right now.
Okay. I'm just talking about past.
Yeah, in the past.
The other thing that, from a property standpoint, David, for your and Patsy's information, I don't know how many years ago, but we were invited to take over the Quiet Dell pool. And that's a couple acres there. So Doug and Mike and myself, and there was somebody else, I can't remember who, we went into their meeting because they were going to give us the property, which is 2 or 3 acres. And our intent, since we do use summer programming, was to be able to utilize the pool instead of having to pay Clarksburg and Shinston and everyone else, when we have our kids going to those pools. Well, it was such an issue of a civil war between them that we called timeout. We were invited here. We have an interest if you guys want to get rid of the property, but we're leaving. So we got up and left. Never heard any more. But I do know that property has come in disrepair at this point and might be an area that could be looked at, not to revitalize the pool, but possibly for playground equipment or whatever else you want. And it could be an area that you guys could use for summer programming with the CCC people there, with the, whatever the other, ladies group that's there, with the, museum, with the stage that we have there. I mean, it could be an ideal place to really have a summer enrichment program there. But the playground equipment stuff could be supplement to that, but where do you put it? I mean, as you know, we looked at the doctor's property over there to put a Veterans Memorial Park. And I'm not sure what David and them talking about here on property, but, you know, she wanted like $80,000 or $90,000 for that piece of property. We said, no, thank you. So anyway, those areas, I reckon the question, let me get back to the question. How did you determine?
Well, one thing, we were looking at county-owned property.
Mike, just like 1 second. Ron, back in February, I asked Jessica where we stood with ADA playgrounds. And I asked if we could somehow do an ADA playground for the county.
Okay.
And so she inquired with Parks and Rec and came back with, you really can't do just a straight ADA playground because it would be considered, labeling.
Yeah.
So then I said, you know, we have these playgrounds around the county. I said, Quiet Dell is a very central place. It'd be great to have a little spot at Quiet Dell. And I asked her to look and talk to our Parks and Recs about whether Quiet Dell would fit. So that's how we got to this point was I was trying to look at one of the ADA playgrounds, something that could go over for the Quiet Dell and surrounding communities, because we've done one in Summit Park, we've got one down in Selver, we've got the one out on 19. Where else do we have playground equipment, guys?
Yeah, Wallace, Summit.
Summit, yeah, so it's just that we don't really have anything over here, and if you look at the cities around, they all have playgrounds, and there's nothing really that I knew of, other than going to the town of Under Fort to service the people of Quiet Dell and out towards that direction. where we were at. And I asked them to see if they could acquire a grant so that if we did this, that we wouldn't have that much money in. So
Okay.
I admit to being the culprit behind where we're sitting here today.
You're the culprit?
Yep.
That's about 4 things you're the culprit at, you know that?
Yeah.
All right. Joke, trying to bring some life into this. All right. Patsy, questions? You got Jessica here.
No, I didn't, I thought this was Jessica, I didn't know it was David, I was just, I'm sorry, Jessica.
Jessica was the point of
Jessica has
contact.
been the point of contact, and I let her run, with, that she oversees Parks and Recs and works with them, and,
Oh, that's right, I forgot the
This is
organizational
something that-
structure.
I thought would be great for that part of the county, and, I apologize, Patsy, for not letting the board know, but I will. I don't know how we got to that point.
It's okay.
And part of that's COVID, we haven't been meeting regularly. With that, luckily it would have been.
So what kind of discount is this company offering?
Well,
Well, it's $19,000 savings.
So their price tag is 70,000 plus.
You're getting $70,000 value out of the 53 and change.
So they're discounting the 18,000. Is there other mechanisms for revenue that, could be looked at? I mean, it's coming off a state bid, I'm assuming, right?
US Communities, which is a competitive bid situation
Yeah.
through that program.
The other question is, where are you gonna put it? Are you gonna hold it somewhere until you find property?
Well, we just did that, Roy, last week.
Did what?
We had the equipment that's been in the shed forever, that we're getting done now. I mean, we just went through that last week. Guys, I'm sorry, we don't need to. I mean, it's a great idea. We'd love to have a park on every corner of it. I mean, where's Whitedale unless you go into the community of Circle Drive or somewhere else? You can't have a playground where people can't walk to it or ride their bike. I mean, that's,
well, again, that's what if you come out to our building right now, nobody can walk to it, nobody can ride their bike, and it's
but it
full all
is
the
a
time.
destination point.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is.
so, VA is a destination point. It's different than being on Route 20. So,
But I think we need to make CCC a destination point.
Well,
who's gonna walk to it, Dave?
No more than walks out there. I think if we take CCC, put the playground in, we might get more people to go to CCC. I'd like to see Parks and Rec take over to CCC, start doing bus tours there from the schools, and use it as a second park. We own it, we pay for all the maintenance on it, and we don't use it to its fullest. It's got a small stage where they can do stuff, still have a blacksmith shop. I mean, we're not utilizing it for what we pay for every month.
I'm for everything you just said, but I'm not gonna,
like Fort New Salem, it could be.
it could be like Fort Salem, but it doesn't need a $50,000 taxpayer playground right now. Nobody asked them for it. I mean, the kids at Quadell, but it's rich for schools and stuff, and not fair there, and they don't. I mean,
Well, from my perspective, Mr. Parker, I'd like to see, you revisit, the association that has that, pool area there and see what, whether they want to get rid of it or what we can do to, maybe through eminent domain or something to that effect. I mean, it's a health hazard,
I think a lot of issue there is ownership.
and I don't know whether they pay taxes or not.
maybe not.
I think it's ownership will be another issue there,
What's that,
because
Susan?
the ownership, because I think it's owned by the board,
Right.
Yeah,
and a lot of those, some of them have passed. There's actually somebody who was in the office not too long ago.
I used to be one of the founding members back in 1972 to that pool.
We can do some research, this week, bring it back, that information next week if
I don't know
possible.
why the board would want to keep it, you know?
Hey,
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to make a motion to purchase the equipment because of the discount. I think the issue of where it goes, whether it goes to Summit Park, Wallace, or somewhere else in the county, if it's a good purchase, it's not something that we have to make a decision today where it goes, but by the end of the month, we'll lose the 50/50 grant. And I think just to have the equipment, whether it ends up out at their place or somewhere else in the county, it's more ADA, and I think it's something that, whether we do Summit Park, it's a good purchase and to worry about the install, whether it's them or in the past, our people installed this equipment.
Funding would come out of the existing,
Title service levy.
Ron, I'm not voting just to buy something just to be buying it.
All right.
No, I'm not. You guys to pay. I mean, there is ADA equipment in the county.
What's the recommendation from?
I mean, Mike, has anybody asked you for more playgrounds in Harrison County?
Well, depending on the different areas, sure, we worked with them sometimes.
Who's asked you in Clydesdale or anything?
Well, nobody has in Clydesdale.
Anywhere.
We're just trying to
I mean, we got,
expand to the right areas.
I mean, are there more playgrounds in any other county than in Harrison County, West Virginia, anywhere?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Morgantown to wherever
Morgantown,
you.
with how many thousands of people?
Right.
So,
you know, I talked to Mitch earlier on the way in, and, some of the numbers that he was telling me, that when you put playgrounds or put places in play like this, or like our place up the rec complex, that it not only, when companies come in, like say, the additions with the airport, or say some big, you know, what RER has been doing over in, at the Anchor Hockey Building and stuff like that, when you're bringing in places like that, they're looking at places like playgrounds and other structures to say that, well, you know, this is where families can grow up, this is where families can, you know, go to during the non-working schedule. And, you know, he said he can get some numbers for me. It does show that, when you put a playground in an area, it does add a lot of positivity to the community. I understand the whole idea about not being able to ride a bike to go like we did growing up as kids, going up to Northview or MBAC, or kids in Summit Park and areas like that. But, you know, the final draw is that I'm not saying that if we build it, they will come. It's not that at all. It's just that I do feel that when you put something in an area at the CDC, at the CCC, that you're gonna find something that there will be I think it's gonna be a positive movement for the community by having something like that.
And what makes a destination, if a CCC can be a destination, that'd be great. When we were building out there, all we heard was, why are you building this out in 19? Nobody's ever gonna come here, nobody's gonna come to the playground, nobody's gonna use that building. I mean, we had so much negative impact from
I'll
thoughts.
ask you, who does go out there? I've been out there, I've never seen it.
We've never seen anybody.
It's packed out there.
At the CCC?
No, our place. I was saying,
okay.
but they said the same thing, then nobody would go there. Yeah, you could turn the CCC into something, hopefully. And it's also dependent on, do you think Clydesdale's a growing area? Is that gonna be an area where, housing's gonna start expanding?
Yeah.
And then the playground would be beneficial to an area like that. So, again, it's just your perspective of what you wanna look at.
And we looked at the other options too. We looked at Wallace, and Wallace has just had $40,000 invested into it. We looked at Summit Park, we just put $35,000 into a new ball field.
And we
already
have two
playgrounds spread up on
playgrounds there,
top.
actually.
Yeah, there's one on top, there's one down below. I mean, this would be an ideal place where grandma and grandpa could go and take a look at some of the history of the area, of the county, and using the CCC camp, and grandma could look buying a quilt, well, they got the grandkids with them, well, guess what, there's a playground right there, the kids can go out and, you know, they could spend hours out there while they're out there looking around at other things in the building. When we went out and surveyed the place, Mike and I just kind of took a glance inside, and, you know, the lady was super nice to us, and gave us a little lowdown of the whole building. We probably spent 45 minutes in there just looking at different pictures and whatnot, and, you know, we had no skin in that game. That was before my time, it was my grandfather's time, but still, it's kind of cool to look at some of the historic of what that, you know, what that was all about, and how these people grew up. What's not to say not have a playground right there, so the grandkids can go out there and have a little activity without having to look at pictures for a half hour.
all right. David's got a motion on the floor. Any further discussion, Patsy?
No, sir.
David, with all due respect, I know we're looking for nickels and dimes to take care of, jobs, and even though this may be a good deal, I would think we need property in order to, really place it and decide where it is, and, from my perspective, I think it would have been beneficial if the advisory board for the recreation department would have been able to have some input and knowledge of what's going on and be here to, because they're the advisors for recreational needs throughout the county. So, I
Ron, can
mean,
David hold his motion until next week so that we can
what's that, David?
discuss it with
We're not
the,
meeting next week.
No, he's talking about he's talking
can we
about
hold it till,
recreation.
We haven't had a meeting with the advisory board since the pandemic started, so it's not like we have.
yeah, it's not like we're not
Right.
treating them bad, we just really haven't met. I just would love to talk to them and see if they think that this CD, this, whatever it is, area.
We don't meet again until November 4th, the day after election.
Yeah.
And that's to make it too late for the grant,
I don't know, maybe they might do an extension.
Mike,
Yeah,
You'd never know unless you ask.
where is he?
he has to
Yeah,
leave.
he, like I said, he came in just last night so he could do to come.
I'm not against the project, I mean, there's, everything we do is unknown anymore, and I just,
I mean, I know we're looking at this coming off the state contract, right?
Right.
I mean, that's his job as a salesman.
that's not like.
Oh, he would still come off the state project, it's just the limit of how the grant would work.
So, I mean,
What you would
That
lose,
cost of $73,000 was with the state contract.
yeah, what you would lose is the approximate $19,000 discount.
well, unless they'll,
Unless they extend that, program.
guess what? I would bet a dime to a donut that you ask them and they're going to extend it. It's in their best interest, they want to sell.
Well, it's not like there's a rush on playground equipment when the playgrounds are, some playgrounds across the country and the world are closed. So,
I mean, I've worked with his company or the manufacturer of, Game Time when I was in Jacksonville, so. All right, David's motion.
I withdraw my motion.
and I don't withdraw it because I see the deal we're getting on the equipment, David. At the same time, I just wish I wish this wasn't, why didn't we talk about this 2 months ago?
We talked about it last week.
But my point is that we had no idea where we were putting it. We've got to get it strategized before we spend thousands of dollars.
David's willing to withdraw his motion.
Yeah,
Pat.
withdraw.
Any comments?
No,
You all right with it?
yeah, I'm all right, but, yeah.
And the direction then, Willie, would be to.
We'll see if they'll extend their deadline, and also will make contact with, the association that
Yeah,
has the
with
pool
the board.
property.
Right. Willie, did you go with us on that one?
No, I missed that fun evening.
Oh, okay. It was a nice one. All right, so motion to withdraw, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, David. All right, item, 12.
Item 11.
Did we do 11?
No, we did
Part of
not
it.
carry on the care thing.
Okay. Where are we on that? Bring us up to date.
The Garrett family owns land in between the property that we're trying to purchase from the airport and the property we already own. I've talked to Mr. Garrett, I'm not sure if he's willing to sell. I've asked him to, look at selling before the end of the year. I want permission to negotiate. I'd like for you all to determine at some point what you're willing to offer an acre for the 11 acres. And if we cannot come to terms, then we design the parts to exclude this property.
Motion to allow you to negotiate, just when we, if we do decide to buy the property, David, I'd like to know what it's gonna cost, with how much, how total, what interest rate we have, what bank, how many years, just
11 acres is probably, I would say, would be cash. So if we can finance it.
You know, the other thing, David, for out there, I can't overemphasize, the need to show that whole develop plan out through there.
It's been shown.
Well, I know, but if we had it on the website or whatever, anybody could actually,
Well, we don't know until,
but
again.
it would only be a concept, though.
Yeah, but I don't like doing concepts on property we don't know.
All right,
So I either have to concept it without it, or concept it, because it really changes the concept, as I explained to Mr. Garrett, it lets the two parts get tied together, and if he wants to be the one to keep it from happening, then there's, I personally would not ever recommend them going to eminent domain or paying an outrageous sum of money. I would recommend that the commission ignore his property and go on.
well, let's see what he wants to, how he wants to deal, because we've got him sort of landlocked, don't we?
He has access from state road right away.
Okay,
So the motion then is to allow David to negotiate, and then, Mr. Parker, the commission will let you know whether they pay cash for it or finance it.
Correct.
Okay.
is that all right? All right, that's a motion.
Oh, and I won't put a time frame on it, December 1st to negotiate.
Okay.
That's fine. All right, you got it, Susan? All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are you an aye, David?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's 11. What else do we have? 12? 12 is consider authorization for administrative staff to advertise for architectural engineering per 5G. Property located at 609 West Main, and the property adjacent to the airport. Which property is that, David?
Again, it's the, 55 acres across the way.
Okay,
We've had several interests in the way things are going, and again, like Ken Ross said, unless you guys want to go into executive session,
nope,
what else going on, but
we're talking outside the fence.
yes, that's the next piece of property that we need to begin development on.
Okay,
So for A, from what I understand, Willie, you can go ahead and just get 3 people, go in-house in the county, please, for architects, and you can move forward because it's under $250,000 and just bring a recommendation back to us.
Yeah, the 5G process, there's a $250,000, limit, of the advertisement. If it's less than 250,000, then you can do it on knowing qualifications and bring back a recommendation. If it's 250,000 or over, then you must advertise and go through the interview process.
Well, just pick in-house Harrison County if possible. I can only think of 2 on my head, and then you pick the third. I don't care if it gives the Harrison County the first choice.
If we go into executive session to finish this,
yeah, we could.
Patsy,
I don't see any reason to.
I
I'm for
guess
both.
if we go into executive session, I can tell you what I'm thinking. I won't say it in public.
I don't need to go into executive session, David.
Okay.
Ron, if you want to, vote to go in.
No, I'm fine if you're fine.
And then as far as B is concerned, motion to move forward as well. And Ron, why don't you and Willie pick a third person and advertise and find out who you recommend?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Willie, just let me know when.
We can do that.
And let me know ahead of time who the third person is, please. Matter of fact, it can be Jessica.
Who knows?
That would be my,
B would have to go out for 5G.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ms. Susan may be an ideal person to, sit on that 5G.
All right, fine, I mean, let it be Susan. Let the record stand that it's Ron, Willie, and Susan. Motion move forward.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
All right.
All right, that's item 12. So we're done with the agenda. Commissioners' comments. No meeting next week. Do not have a quorum. Right?
Correct.
Comments, anything, David?
Yeah, I've got some things, clerk or not, and again, this isn't, I'm not trying to pick on you, it seems like every meeting. But I need to know if Ron has been given the key and that all ballot boxes have 2 separate boxes that have gone out, and all the ones going out have 2 separate boxes and the key given to the president.
The president had a key, I believe, and
My
Willie brought.
question is, are all the locks been changed on all the?
Here I go, this is a discussion I had with Mr. Parker and yourself in the garage the other day. I sent an email to Mr. Parker asking about these keys. We can't stand there and hold absentee ballots that are coming in the mail. I don't know where the key was, I asked for it, got nothing.
Okay, all the existing ballot boxes, have been changed,
No,
and
I mean, yes, the ones that'll go out on election day have been changed.
Does it go in the machines and all been changed?
Yes, sir.
To
Two different locks, yes, sir.
Okay, has that key been given?
He had the key and brought it back to us yesterday. He wasn't sure if that was my understanding wasn't sure if that was the key to the padlock or to the ballot boxes.
Yeah, so we just need to retrieve that key.
That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Just like I've told you, I don't have an issue with any of this. I just would like to make the process easy for the gentleman that takes the stuff out, so he doesn't have to.
That's between you and him. He's the president, he gets the key, what he does with it, who he delegates.
Not the way it was in the primary, but that's all right.
He delegated it to me.
Oh, okay.
So when the president determines who he's gonna delegate that to, that's fine.
That's your call.
My other question is emergency absentee ballot application. Nobody's requested one?
No, they have not. Not to my knowledge. I'm not saying it hasn't happened today.
For emergency, I just wondered if,
And actually, it probably would have to wait till closer to the election. I believe there's a time limit. They have up until noon on election day to request that. And we're gonna have to figure out a policy for that.
well, it says we're supposed to set the team up, the county commission is.
Set your team up, because we've always done it before. So that's okay. You find your Republican and your Democrat. Let me know who they are.
So if Mr. Parker gets that squared around for the county commission, set up a team of commissioners at large.
All right,
And it's not county commissioners.
And the county commission will send a team of commissioners.
Okay, you do my job for me. Keep doing
I'm
it.
just reading, from the state.
Fine.
And my last question is polling places. Do we have a list of those been presented to the county yet?
No, is that in the code too? Can you tell me what code section that?
It's on page 63 of manual election officials. The county commission itself was responsible for arranging polling places.
Well, then have you arranged them?
Susan, I'm sitting there trying to understand why this.
David, I don't understand why, I'm gonna stop here. I will get you a list of polling places. It is on our website, but I will have that to you as soon as I leave here.
Okay, and at least 2 voting booths, each polling place.
my question, for my clarification from the staff, is, we'll get the key from the election box, the ballot boxes, that key, we'll get that back, that's no problem. How do we wanna handle the access, for the key to the padlock that accesses where the ballots are locked up? That's the question now, would be for me. Correct? I mean, that's what we talked about this morning.
Exactly.
how we want to handle that. Right now, Ms. Thomas has, the commission key for that padlock. How does the commission desire to proceed? There has to be 2 locks, 2 keys, 2 separate individuals that control that key, as I understand the statute. One's the county clerk or designee, one would be the commission president or designee.
Say that again to me, Willie, so I know if somebody asks me, say it again.
2 locks,
2 locks.
separate keys, can't be keyed alike. One is under the control of the office of the county clerk.
Okay.
One's under the control of the office of the county commission. The county clerk usually controls that or their designee or staff, and then the commission president or his designee.
Okay, well, I don't have that key.
Ron won't be here. Ron's out of town starting here in a few minutes, probably.
Well, we have another issue that we have to get settled, and that's it.
I think, Willie, what I'll do is, just allow you to be the keeper and the designee at this point, and then when I come back,
That's fine. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I didn't want to overstep the bounds.
With us as commissioners, we have 49 days to appoint at least one team for emergency ballot applications before the day prior to election. So we have to get one appointed this week.
What do you want to do? I'll do whatever you tell me.
We just have to sit down and appoint who we're gonna appoint to be the,
How many people do you need?
one Republican, one Democrat.
Can it be employee or does it have to be public?
It can be 1 Republican, 1 Democrat.
Doesn't matter if they're employees or
Yeah, it does not matter.
not. We just have to appoint them.
Jeff, are you Republican or Democrat?
Has to be county,
Out of the county.
has to be in county.
You're out of the county. You're out of the county. Nobody in here's in the county. Is Denise Palmer, I mean, just pick 2 employees, Willie.
You gotta remember, and I don't know how you're gonna handle this, but I know the question's been asked from the hospital, if they are asked to go to a COVID group.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that you're gonna have to find out too, because it was asked, could you give it to a nurse to take back? I don't believe we're gonna let anybody do it. I know you can, I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
Willie, can you put out an email and ask any 2 employees, that 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, who would like it, and make the motion right now that we accept them? Is that cool?
That's so desirable with the commission, yeah.
I think we want to keep it in-house plus the COVID. I'd hate to ask a citizen to do anything right now.
But my point is, if they go to the hospital, to a COVID, to deal with the
I see
COVID
what you're
patient.
saying, that's why I'm asking them to be an employee, not in the, because that way I know they have health care and, you see what I'm saying? I'm not guessing.
Yeah, the hospital may have restrictions though that do not
Oh,
allow
they're not gonna let you in there.
in there.
Well, they
Yeah,
didn't let Laura Gooders wife in there, and he was, I was
Yeah.
that. So trust me, this isn't gonna happen
yeah,
for a vote, trust me.
yeah.
So, just,
Well, it could be somebody that's homebound, that is,
yeah,
cannot.
You don't
walk.
have that policy for homebound,
that's why you have absentee ballot. Mail it, right?
but they can be at home too. They changed that law a couple of years ago.
Whatever you guys do on that's good. I've gotta go, I'm sorry.
Patsy,
Ron, have a great trip.
on Monday, just to let you know, at the Grand Canyon,
Mm-hmm. Have you
the
been there
high
before?
is gonna be 40 degrees and it's raining snow.
Where were you at? I saw your pictures.
Oh, last weekend I was Nicholas and Sam.
Nice.
All right, are we?
It's agreeable with the consent, as I understand it, general consensus of the commission is to authorize and allow the administrative staff to designate a team of emergency ballot commissioners.
Good.
ASAP,
All right, we will
and please inform
everybody who that would be.
All right,
who those people are,
All right,
and, then Mr. Parker, I guess it'll be either up to us or Susan to go through what they have to go through to the steps necessary to be a commissioner for emergency ballot.
all right.
have we ever had that, Susan?
Yeah.
We have?
We normally utilize staff in my office.
All right. Anything else?
Whether or not you have any public comments?
We do,
My last public comment would be, again, I think that, we're putting too much into the property acquiring around the CC building instead of looking how to use the property that's around the CC building and breaking the equipment up. I think that, there's more than enough land around there to broken up the playground.
Well, we'll see if he can get it extended.
And anything to improve the quality of life for the people in the county. I think that's part of our charge. And I hope we didn't lose the grant.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments?
I do have, the Zayo right-of-way agreement, I was planning next week, but I'll bring that back at the meeting in November. They've countered with an offer, and, you know, it wasn't on the agenda
Oh,
today.
I saw that from,
Can we not approve that?
What's that?
We can't approve it till for 2 weeks.
A matter of how the commission would desire to proceed, I would recommend that we put it on the agenda and have it as an agenda item.
I don't see any issue with it.
Yeah, okay.
it's not like they're digging, in Parkersburg.
We're getting some money out of them, so.
Yeah, I think 60.
$64,647 is what to reflect the payment is
Right.
for that, where we were asking them to work, the different
We're looking for in-kind.
bridges, but, yeah, so I'll bring that back and have that at a
All right.
next meeting or the meeting in November.
Anything else?
Well, I'll be quiet, like I said, on that.
Go ahead and talk.
No.
All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all in favor, say aye. We're adjourned. David, you have my proxy to the airport.
Yes, sir.
Do you, I need to sign anything, or?
We'll get that.
Word enough?
We're just gonna approve, what we did last week.
Stop recording, huh?
What you were there for that one group.
Yeah.
And, potential help from, environmental.